Yeah, I'd like to welcome you to this meeting. I think we met about 1 year ago and had quite interesting discussions. Many things have happened since. I think I'll briefly look at our agenda. So I think today we'll generally look at the few issues which were raised in the last meeting and what has happened since. And then we'll look at 2 items which we have selected to try to push forward. And then we shall have the way forward. But before we get into the agenda, I would like to introduce the team from the council. We have a council subcommittee on the Global South, which includes myself, Felix Danso, Shailaja, and Peter Taylor. Okay. I'm Dr. Tuesday Gichuki. I'm a visiting professor in University of Makeni, Sierra Leone. I also run a research institution in Nairobi, Kenya. I think, Peter, if you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Tuesday, and hello, everybody. It's very nice to meet you all virtually. My name is Peter Taylor, and I'm Director of Research at the Institute of Development Studies, IDS, at the University of Sussex here in the UK. And I'm part of this working group within the DSA Council. Very nice to be with you today. Thanks.
Okay, Shailaja.
Thank you, Tuesday. I'm Shailaja Fennell. I'm reader in Regional Transformation and Economic Security at the Department of Land Economy at the University of Cambridge and associate at the Centre of Development Studies at the university. And I'm also a subgroup member of the Global South as part of the DSA Council, and delighted to meet all of you.
Thank you. I think we can also have brief introductions of those who are present. We are not very many, we are only 20. Just say your name and from which country and what you do.
And if you can switch on your camera, we can wave at you in person, but don't worry if there's no bandwidth.
Okay, can we start with Nayara?
Yeah, sure. Good morning. My name is Nayara. I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the University of São Carlos, that's in Brazil. And I'm new here, so I'm very glad to join this meeting.
Thank you. Richard?
Sorry, Odenda Lumumba. Richard is an additional name to my names. Formerly with the Kenya Land Alliance. I have since transitioned. I'm a fellow at the Institute of Poverty, Land and Agrarian Studies at the University of Western Cape, essentially based in Bungoma, Kenya.
Thank you. Manoj?
Hello. Good evening from India, Kerala. This is Manoj. I'm from India. I'm from Kerala. I am an independent development studies researcher preparing for my PhD. And I'm a new member to the group, Development Studies Association as well. Very excited to be here to listen to all of you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dion.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dion Aristide. I'm a PhD candidate in Laval University, Quebec. I'm a French speaker, so I have some little difficulties with English, but I will try my best to understand. And I'm very glad to join this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know any French at all, so you are better than me.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
Philip.
Thank you.
Philip.
Okay, hello everybody. Yeah, I'm Philip Agomo. I'm from Vita King Consulting in Ghana, Accra, Ghana. And then I'm new to the association, and I'm looking forward to learn a lot and network and have a great time.
Thank you. Lillian.
This is Lillian Nyaka from the University of Nairobi, Wangari Maathai Institute. I'm a PhD candidate with interest in water tenure and water rights, particularly for communities that we work with. Thank you.
Thank you. Ibrahim.
Thank you so much. You know, my name is Ibrahim Natil. I'm the co-convener of NGOs and Development Study Group at DSA. I'm very interested, to listen to your conversation today. It is the first time to participate in such your meeting, actually. So I'm a research fellow and teaching as well as in Dublin City University. And, this is, very brief. Thank you.
Thank you. Samin.
Hi, I'm an assistant professor at the Lahore University of Management Sciences in Pakistan, Lahore, Pakistan. And this is my third DSA conference, the second consecutive one. I think I attended briefly the DSA South meeting last time as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing what's happened since. Thank you.
Thank you. Maria.
Hi.
Hello, yeah, carry on. Oh, I think we have lost Maria. Father Evangeliso. How do you pronounce your name?
Evangelos.
Evangelos, okay.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Evangelos Diani from IDS, University of Nairobi, and from the Orthodox Seminary, where I teach religion and development. Thank you very much. Nice to meet all of you.
Thank you. Maria, are you back now? Maria? I think we still have a problem with Maria. Now another very difficult name, Uaranduku.
Sorry, I was just trying to submit my video.
Okay.
I don't know why. Can you hear me?
There's a lot of echo.
Yeah, there's okay. Can you hear me? Do you still have the echo?
It's okay now. You can.
All right. Okay. I'm Victor. I'm a researcher here in Nigeria. This is my second DSA conference, but this is the first time I'll be attending the Global South meeting. It's nice to meet everyone.
Thank you. Menusha.
Hi, I'm from Sri Lanka. I did my master's at the University of Sussex, and now I'm back in the country. I'm working on PhD proposals and looking for PhD opportunities. At the same time, I'm working for a European Union funded project on wash and nutrition, reaching mostly unreached communities and marginalized communities in Sri Lanka. And this is actually the first time I joined DSA. I wish actually I wish if I knew it while I was in the UK, I could have even presented a paper, but there was no much information about DSA at that time. But I only found it after returning to Sri Lanka.
Okay, thank you. Holly?
Well, thank you, Tuesday. This is my first time meeting in South to South meeting. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. And actually, I already come to DSA in 2018 in Bradford University at that time. So I'm happy to join this meeting. Well, thank you, Tuesday.
Thank you.
Tuesday, I think Maria is back, so you can get her before she goes off again.
Okay. Maria, are you on now?
Yes. So sorry about it. Hi, everyone. I'm Maria Cristina Linsanurin from the Philippines. Nice to meet you, everyone.
Thank you. Agatha?
Yeah, hi, everyone. My name is Agatha, a researcher from Nigeria. This is my third DSA conference attending and my second Global South meeting. Thank you all. It's my pleasure to meet you all.
Thank you. Talatu.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Talatu Aliyu. I work with Christian Aid Nigeria. I am the Monitoring, Evaluation, Accountability, and Learning Manager. This is my first time attending DSA, and I'm looking.
Thank you. Oluwatoyin.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Oluwatoyin from Nigeria, and this is my first DSA conference, and I'm a junior research fellow at Obafemi University. I look forward to a great deliberation session. Thank you.
Thank you. Mathurima.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry my video is off because I don't have a strong internet. I'm a Gender and Development alum from the Institute of Development Studies in University of Sussex, and I'm currently based in India. I'm working with an organization against trafficking. And I'm really excited to meet you all, and this is my first Global South meeting. So thank you.
Thank you. Tanya.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tanya Sen. I'm from Assam, a northeastern state in India. And this is my first time. I recently joined the DSA, and this is my first time in the Global South meeting. And it's very nice to meet you all, and I'm very, very excited in the coming events. Thank you.
Thank you. Akin Pelu. I love to start learning to pronounce names. Akin.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me now, please?
Yeah, we can hear you. Hello.
Hello. Please, my network is not that sound. It's buffering, and I'm using just the audio. Please go along with me with that. I'm Akinpelu Oyekunle. I'm a doctoral student at Department of Philosophy, University of South Africa, and I'm a lecturer at the Department of Philosophy at Adekunle University in Nigeria. I'm excited to be part of this Global South study group in the Development Study Association.
Thank you. Anybody have left out?
Douglas.
Oh, Douglas, yes.
Douglas is a tech officer. We don't need Douglas.
Yeah.
You want to introduce yourself? I think Lillian just joined us. Is that right? Oh no, Lillian gone. Yeah, no, I think you're
Lillian,
right. You're fine, Tuesday. You're absolutely fine. Yeah, people are just
yeah,
moving and getting a second connection sometimes. That makes sense. No problem.
Okay. Yeah. So I see. This is the second virtual meeting we are holding for Global South. So nobody should feel very new. All of us are very new here. And I think the issues we want to discuss, we don't have any very definite facts on the ground. We want to get everybody's ideas about the way we should move forward. As I said in the agenda, the first item was to look at what we discussed in last year's meeting, and there were 5 main issues. The first one was looking into the possibility of putting together a book or an anthology or any form of publication from the Global South, the DSA group. Another idea which had come up was putting together a compendium of quality research on development carried out in various regions in Global South. There was also an issue of looking at mentorship. It was felt like that in very many instances, it's difficult for researchers from Global South to be published in Global North publications. So there was an issue of should we have mentorship? Is there a way of ensuring that this works? We also looked at the possibility of publishing a directory of Global South institutions which offer development studies and their approaches. And the 5th item was looking at research on youth development interventions in the Global South. The team from the council, the subcommittee for Global South, looked at all this. And then we thought that it's good to take up 2 issues which have a potential of being achieved. The first one was looking at whether we can initiate a South-to-South mentorship. The second one was whether we can develop publications which are led by the Global South. So these are the 2 issues we agreed to push forward, and we presented them to the council. And the council generally did agree that we need to consider them further. Then we thought it is best if we now share with everybody here, and then we'll be able to make a presentation to the council later on. So I think I would like to start with the mentorship issue. Our thoughts were that mentorship does not have to be north to south. Knowledge is not directional. So mentorship, there's nobody who knows everything. So even the mentor learns from the mentee. So we looked at a possibility of having a South-to-South mentorship program, which will be a bit more cheaper to run and more relevant. We'll be dealing with cultural issues which are not very diverse, and getting support from the North in the initiative. I think I'll ask Peter to briefly touch on what our thoughts are on this one.
Thanks, Tuesday, and hi everyone again. And I must say I'm enjoying this opportunity to interact with you. This is also my first Global South subgroup meeting as well. In fact, I've just been a member of the DSA for a year, so of the council. So it's great to be part of this conversation. The mentoring idea is really there because we're conscious that the DSA has over 300 members located in, that's broadly what we'll describe for the purpose of this meeting as the Global South, and really a wide array of experience, of knowledge, of expertise, and that is an amazing resource. The question is, how can that resource be made available within a community of practice of members of the DSA who are based in different countries in the Global South, to share and to enter into a relationship with another person where, you know, there's that possibility for exchange of experience, of ideas, and sometimes it could be around a particular issue, it might be around a very specific goal or aspiration that somebody has, or it could be a longer term relationship over, you know, perhaps a number of years where that relationship deepens and becomes more engaged around questions where both parties feel they have something to offer and to share and to gain from the experience. So we understand, of course, that these things are not time-free. A relationship always takes time, and it takes effort, and it takes some commitment, and very importantly, it also takes trust. Anyone who's been in a mentoring relationship, as I've benefited myself in the past, there's a huge amount to gain from it, and I think to learn from it as well. So from the DSA perspective, our question to ourselves really was, what could DSA help in this regard to help to connect this community of members who are located in the Global South, to engage with each other, to find mentors, to develop these relationships, and what kind of support might that look like if that was really going to be a useful experience, which would be you know, the beginning perhaps of a longer term effort to do this. And we wanted to make sure that we got views from members of the DSA about experiences of mentoring, perhaps where you've been part of a mentoring relationship before, what's been really good about it, what's worked, and particularly what do you think would help to ensure that any initiative like this would really have the best chance of success and being a very valuable learning opportunity for all involved. And if so, what kinds of support, facilitation, effort from DSA would be helpful to actually to make it happen. And one of the things we would like to do after this conversation today is to carry out a small survey, excuse me, where we actually just ask the broader membership, because obviously today this is just some of our participants, to give their views as well about where they've had experiences before, what's worked, you know, what would need to be in place for it to be successful, and what kinds of arrangements could be helpful. So that would be a follow-up step. But today, this is just an opportunity really to hear from this group for your views about mentoring. Would it be useful? Where you've had this experience before, what's been good? Where might there be some pitfalls to avoid or overcome? And also, what kind of support or role could the DSA play in supporting the emergence of this mentoring community of practice? Tuesday, I hope that is a reasonable introduction. Oh, you're muted, Tuesday.
Okay, sorry. I see Felix has come in. Felix, can you introduce yourself and make any comment on this issue? Felix? Well, probably is having some problems. Anybody who would like to make a contribution on what Peter's just briefly touched on?
if anyone would like to just jump in, please do. Also, if you'd like to put a comment in the chat, that's also fine, because I realize the bandwidth, some of this group are in a car at this very moment, and so I realize that your connections may be not so great. So there's the chat function as well. But yeah, please do jump in, or you can also raise your hand, whichever way you'd like to do it. I can see we've got two, Evangelos, and then I think we have another one after that. So Evangelos, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think this is a wonderful idea. The fact that most of the time we in the South always think about mentorship from elsewhere, but we have a lot of mentees from within, and most of the time we do not utilize those opportunities. So I believe that this is a great beginning, and this is a way to also connect with people who are doing, who are like-minded in research and in initiatives within development studies. And I believe this is the best place to start that. So I look forward actually to having this kind of initiatives. Of course, we will have to know who is who, what they do, so that then we can pair them with the right people and who needs what. Some people are experienced in doing empirical research, others in literal ones, others in administrations, others in starting development institutions, others in teaching, others in other kind of initiatives. So I think one of the things is to highlight what we all know and what then we would need to be mentored in. Because I'm sure, like Tuesday already said, and Peter also reiterated, all of us need something from somebody. And most likely we need it from within. And most of the time we look at such, or we search for those from without. And thank you very much for such an insight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, like Peter said, after this, we'll be sending out a survey which will identify who is willing to be a mentor and who is willing to be a mentee, and which areas they are specialized in and which areas there's need. So I hope we shall get good responses to enable us to move forward with this. Because after that, we shall then see about the way forward. I see Tanya.
Yes, sir. Hi. I just have a question because I'm not very clear about how this mentor and mentee thing works. So how do we choose a mentor, or how? I mean, I just request you to explain it in a little more detail how this works and what kind of help can we seek. And if you could just explain a little bit more about this.
Peter, could you answer that?
Thanks. No, thank you, Tanya. That's you're asking the $1 million question in a way about how this is going to work, which is absolutely right. And that's certainly part of the plan now, is to, first of all, you know, the conversation today is really to sort of gauge, does this seem to be a good idea in the first place? And then secondly, there is definitely a kind of matchmaking exercise, which would be connecting two individuals together who had some things in common. So as we actually just heard from Evangelos, there's the, you know, who is out there, where are they, what do they need, and what could particular individuals offer. And I think what we'll probably have to do is develop some kind of system whereby we can connect two individuals together whose interests connect in that way, where that would be a mutual benefit. So I think that will be sort of stage 2, will be designing the kind of the mechanism, if you like, for gathering the information, locating that somewhere, and then enabling people to connect up. And that's part of the work, in fact, that is going to be needed. So certainly today, you know, we're really happy to hear a sense of where people have done this before and how it's worked, because practical suggestions for doing it will also be really very useful. I mean, as you can imagine, there isn't an enormous reserve of resources to pour into this, and a lot of it is going to work through the desire and the interest and the commitment of individuals to want to do this. But hopefully DSA can help to facilitate that process. So designing the mechanism would be definitely a next stage.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, any other contribution? Yes, Shailaja.
Sorry, I didn't. I just wanted to add to what Peter said. It was very helpful. And obviously, from the introductions of the group present, people are at very different levels and in different locations. So some of you might be doing masters and didn't know about development studies before, but now are thinking of a PhD. Others might have completed their PhD and might be thinking of postdocs or writing papers. So if you'd like to ask further questions as well at your particular stage, what you would like to see or what it is that you need, then that's equally important. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other contribution? Felix?
Hello. Yes, good afternoon, everyone.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm here.
You're muted. Oh, you're just saying hello.
Yes, I'm just saying hello, and I'm monitoring
Okay.
what is going on. When there is a need to
Maybe you can introduce yourself, Felix. That might be great.
Okay. Okay. So my name is Felix Danso. I'm from Ghana, and I'm a member of the council representing the Global South. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else who would like to contribute on this mentorship issue?
Sorry, Christopher has a good question about whether this is only for universities in the Global South. I think that's a great question. Peter, over to you.
Thanks, Shailaja. This is democracy in action, where we distribute our responses. I was actually just chatting and putting something in the chat to respond to Christopher's excellent question. I mean, I think, of course, this is something that might be of great interest to many people. The core membership, if you like, is of course DSA members. So this is something that by being a member of the DSA, then it would be possible to participate in this program. But I think, from my perspective, you know, as we've heard in the introductions, DSA members are located in many different kinds of institutions. Some are in universities, some may be in think tanks, policy research institutions, some may be working in civil society organizations, carrying out research work or engagement work where evidence is important, or other kinds of teaching locations as well. So I think the range of institutions could be quite broad, in fact, and in a way that would be part of the beauty of the exercise, that people could bring different kinds of experience and knowledge to bear to the mentoring relationship. So I think the vehicle, if you like, will be through the membership of DSA, but then I think I'd imagine we'd be quite open to the institutional location where members are actually working.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else with a question on that? Because I think the way forward, as we said before, we shall have a small survey which will guide us into running a pilot. If it works out, then the initiative can be rolled out further. And like Peter said, we are starting with DSA membership. Once it works out.
Can I just add on one more query?
Yes, Manoj.
Yes. Like Shailaja said sometime earlier, I'm someone who has started my inquiry into development studies. I'm a sociologist per se, which right now my interest is sociology of development and development and religion as my focus area, and I have been working out on my research proposals and scholarship possibilities to carry out a PhD program in religion and development from the perspective of Global South. And it would be great if someone could help us regarding some information about what are the possibilities and opportunities, and how should we look at applying for scholarships, etc., that can finance our research programs, because as you know, the research programs abroad are pretty expensive and funding is a major issue. So if anyone could throw some light on that, share their experiences, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Who can throw some light on that?
So I don't know if you want us to respond directly. I mean, I guess, I mean, institutions, I mean, Peter can, of course, all of us can speak to this, but it's really, I guess, three things I always say when people write to me about PhDs. One is, the most important thing is what you want to research, of course, and that's why you're embarking on a research project. But the match between yourself and the person that you write to is something that you need to ascertain, and writing an email and ascertaining that's really important. So that's the second thing, finding the appropriate supervisor. And so then, you know, searching all development studies departments that have supervisors is a good way of creating a match. And then maybe once you've done that, to speak with them about funding that's available, because funding doesn't automatically, I mean, some universities across the world, funding is linked directly to a department. In other places, so where I'm in Cambridge, the funding is independent. So that could sometimes be a separate line of inquiry that you have to undertake. So Manoj, my point is there are a number of stages, but you're in the right place for the first one. You're researching what you want to do, and hopefully the next stage is to locate a supervisor who has the right skill set to be the appropriate person. As Tuesday said, supervisors don't have all the skills. Sometimes you're more skilled as the supervisee, but I'll turn it over to Peter. I'm sure there's a lot more that you could say, Peter.
No, thanks, Shailaja, and it's a good question, Manoj, as well. I mean, I think it's actually a useful question for DSA more broadly, just to see kind of how does the DSA help to share information about funding, about scholarships more broadly, because I mean, globally, there are some strands of some quite well-known and other less well-known sources of scholarships and funding, which are kind of generic, you know, and maybe available for those who are hoping to undertake further studies. So that's an interesting question, actually, for DSA more broadly to think about. You know, you probably are aware the DSA, there is now, and there's a new communications officer. I know there's quite a lot of discussion about the website and about, you know, what's DSA's contribution to making this kind of information available? So there's a good general question there, which I think is something to reflect on a bit more for DSA. And then when it comes down to individual programs, I agree completely with Shailaja that connecting up, finding that connection between your interest and a supervisor, who in effect it's a kind of mentoring relationship again, but of course it's formalized by the by the educational program, and then writing to some individuals as you start to identify people who you think could be interesting to connect with, and then have that conversation. And it doesn't always happen the first time around. Sometimes it takes a few goes before you find that other person who could be having a shared interest in your particular topic, and also has the space and the availability to enter into that supervisory relationship too. So I think there might be something interesting for DSA to think about generally, helping connect people with broader funding opportunities, and then certainly for the more specific relationship, exploring who is where, and then doing some initial contacting, and hopefully something will come through.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you, Shailaja.
Thanks, Manoj.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Can we move on to the next agenda item? Or does somebody want to have something still on the mentorship?
I would just say, Tuesday, that when we hope to send the survey out fairly soon, and we just really encourage everyone on this call will receive the link to the survey. And since everyone in this call heard about it first, that we really would value your input. It won't take very long. I know everybody gets a lot of surveys, and it can drive you a bit crazy. It always says this will only take you 5 minutes, and then it takes you half an hour. We really will try to be short and targeted, and we just really encourage everybody to respond, because that would be really helpful to get ideas from this group and of course from the wider group as well. Then we can hopefully make this a great success. Thanks, Tuesday.
Okay, yeah, and also share with your networks when you receive the survey, so that we can try to get a wider scope.
And Tuesday,
okay.
I was thinking also, as we think about the mentorship program, we should also look forward to not just, we can always Skype, which is an easier way of meeting, but I always think that the mentorship also should be hands-on, in that we should also see how to create slots, maybe a month, or between a month and 3 months, that the mentor and the mentee can have together within an institution that can be useful and impactful positively, impacting positively on the work done. So I think that should be also one of the things that we should consider as we think about mentorship. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I'm speaking too much, maybe because I'm a priest.
No, you haven't spoken enough. We're still waiting for you to speak more. That's a very useful contribution. I think as we develop the initiative, we'll take that into account. Now, I think we can move on to publications. From the last meeting we had last year, there was that concern that researchers and academics from the Global South do not get a fair share when they come to trying to publish their work. So we are looking at ways in which we could enhance that. On top of the mentorship, we, as a committee, we looked at how we could try to develop publications led by Global South. Shailaja, probably you could highlight on that.
Thank you, Tuesday. And it fits in very nicely, I think, with the question in the chat from Manusha about mentoring and writing. So this is really at the heart of the link between the two key points in our agenda. The purpose of mentoring is multiple, but one that we all share wherever we are in the sphere of development studies is writing and communicating our ideas. And something that the last year's report also showed was that there was an interest in changing the weight that's accorded to publications depending on where someone is located. And I think we would all agree that it is easier at the moment in the publishing industry to get published if you're on the global north. That could be to do with funds or support, also to do with the visibility of organizations. This is, in terms of epistemic equity, a challenge, because as Tuesday rightly said, everyone has knowledge to which, and often it's tacit knowledge, and they are often those who are best placed to engage and disseminate it, but they don't have channels. And so the idea that we had in terms of thinking about publishing located in the Global South would be at number of levels. One would be at the level that Manusha raised, the idea of sharing opportunities with those who don't have as many because of where they're located and lack of funds in terms of writing. The second would be taking it to a more formalized level where we could think possibly in terms of workshops, where there is a possibility of bringing young, what we call early careers researchers to think about their first publications. And we, at our meeting as the subgroup, we identified that this is currently something that is beginning to happen in development studies, that there have been a number of initiatives which have been led by editors located in the Global South, which have three very specific features that are of value. One is the encouragement of ECRs, early career researchers. The second is about the epistemology itself, the idea that of theorizing from the Global South, that often we have models from the Global North that are used to study development processes, and this results in, can I put it mildly, inaccurate analyses, because they don't necessarily take into account all the features that operate within the Global South. And the third and the most important was bringing together intergenerational scholarship. So those who are the senior professors in the field, wherever they're located, the mid-career and the young scholars, to try and bring them all together in whatever form of publication, be it a handbook of youth development initiatives or some other. But I'll stop there, Tuesday, and I'm happy to take questions, but I'm sure you and Peter and Felix will have things to say. Thank you.
Okay. Peter, want to add something?
I think Shailaja gave a very good introduction, and I see that Nayara is just writing about language, which I absolutely agree. Some years ago now, some colleagues in Ecuador did a very interesting survey looking at the number of citations which were associated with articles written in Spanish, particularly in Latin America, and it's clear that access, to non-English publications is constantly being limited by the dominance of English, as a sort of an overall academic language. So I think there are issues there around language to help with. Actually, in that this was a network in Latin America which. Admittedly, this was in Spanish rather than in Portuguese, but they created a peer network, actually, which in effect was a kind of mentoring exercise, giving support and feedback to each other on preparation of writing pieces, whether it was for journals or other articles, because again, that was a very helpful sort of support mechanism which was put in place to get things into publication. But I think that there is a real role here to help to increase access to publishing and to constantly support the generation of high quality publishing, which really reflects the broad array of knowledge and experience, which is actually manifested very well in the DSA membership, wherever it is in the world. So hopefully we can find a way here to provide support.
Okay. Probably a small question, Shailaja. What would you see as the major challenge other than the funding in setting up this initiative?
So I have been involved in one handbook where we tried, and Nayara, you're right, we had to set up specific subgroups, as Peter has said, for people to share in language, but also to assign, and that's not just a funding resource, it's that linguistic resource, somebody who is equally comfortable in operating in all languages. It's not that there's a hierarchy of language, it's just you're happening to publish in English. So he's aware that, there's sensitivities, because you write in a language a particular way in which you say something, and you don't want it to give it to a general editor who then takes the meaning to be something else. So there's that co-learning, which is very sensitive to most of us who are working with the world of ideas. So I think often it's also the human resources and the time that go with it. And making that time means that you have to buy in not just the resources to publish the book and to hold the conference, but to convince both the publisher, but also the participants about the value of repeated workshops. So we ended up for the BRICS book having 4 workshops. And initially, it seemed that it was taking so long, and some of the the authors were saying, but it's taken 5 years. It took 5 years because we needed to get everybody on that same platform and to feel comfortable that they had been fully recognized. So there's also part of the culture of publishing that we're encountering. So I would be uncomfortable saying it's only a lack of funds. It's that second feature of respecting each other when the mentoring process is there, to recognize the sensitivities that each of us have. And the third one, the most important, is time. You have to carve out the time for this. And so if we at DSA and ourselves as members of the subgroup reporting council, I think it is important, in addition to this discussion at annual meetings, maybe among the various working groups that we have, and of course we had a colleague from another working group, think the NGO sector as well, thinking about how we make the time to develop the ideas to the level where we can work collectively to theorize, or at least co-authors can theorize, and maybe a workshop at a next level when someone has theorized, so that it comes to the next DSA. With the BRICS book, we brought it to 3 DSA conferences, and we learned so much. I mean, we had to knock papers out and rewrite them, but it was extremely helpful. So I think more systematic linking with the DSA as an organization, and maybe therefore more panels coming through in a book like this. So that's 3 sets of ideas, Tuesday. Thank you so much.
This is Christoph asking, do we have a platform where we can publish our work through DSA so that our views concerning development from the view of Global South researchers are represented? I believe, Christopher, this is what we are talking about. This is the platform we are trying to create. Currently, I think the platforms which exist is, I believe, the website, and the communications officer is trying to set up something. But this initiative should be able to respond to your question. And I see somebody was suggesting on language that use of language apps could be helpful. Anybody with experience on that? I've had a problem with the Google translating my Swahili and generally calling me a cow. Anybody with experience with translation apps, particularly in academic writing?
I can say that they can be useful as self-learning exercises. I'm not sure that they're good for writing. I think that they can help as part of an exercise where you're trying to figure things out. But I think it works more effectively to have a group of individuals engaged in that process. And if you can, for example, therefore identify editors, we tried to do this in our book, with different language expertise, so that there was an editor specifically linked to each group of languages. Again, that's more work, but the result is a more even spread. So I'm not opposed to apps, but I'm not sure you can write a handbook with apps.
Yeah. Okay. Any other contribution? We are very many of us here. Yes. Yes, Evangelos.
Thank you very much. I'm very, I like this very much because we have tried this elsewhere. I belong to a group of African universities that teach theology, and we have an organization that we built, and within it, what was a great challenge of publishing together was continuity. So what we did is we look for funds for about 2 or 3 years on a specific subject. We build on it every year. When we meet annually, we have a workshop. We start with the basics of the topic itself, so that everybody is well grounded on the topic, because not all of us sometimes are experts in that topic.
And then we branch it out so that people then can create their papers for the next annual general meeting. And then the third one, after the third one, then we engage a publisher and we come out with a book. So maybe that can be a good strategy. On the language, in another forum that I'm also involved in, what we have done is doing abstracts and conclusions in the language of the writer, or on the language maybe the writer wants to concentrate on. So they write in English, the entire paper, but we have an abstract and a kind of to give an introduction and a conclusion of the entire paper. We say in Swahili or whatever other language that one would favor, so that then people who the nationals within that area also can feed on this publication. Maybe that can be a good way if we can get an entire paper written in the local language. Thank you very much.
Thank you, very useful. Any other contribution? Okay, so if we have no other question or contribution, I'll ask, what do we see as the way forward on this?
Sorry, was that addressed to someone in particular, Tuesday, the way forward?
No, it was a general question for anybody who will ready with a contribution. I think, Shailaja, you will be the last to contribute on it.
I'm happy to wait for others. I mean, I think some of the comments about language clearly have struck a note. And so I would suggest that maybe we do take these things on board, that part of the process of thinking about assisting DSA members in terms of publications and getting their voices channeled is to help them to do this in a manner that their ownership is at the center. So I think, Christopher, thank you for your contribution, but I think both Alison and Nayara have made important points. I mean, Grammarly is great, I mean, in terms of testing your own grammar. So it might be that once we have the mentorship survey in, we could use some of the ideas from that to think in terms of what people are looking for in mentoring. And if indeed from the answers we glean that what's really very important for people is this area of working with language, then I would suggest that that would be a interim activity in its own right, as part of activity associated with our objective of publication. Peter, does that seem appropriate? You seem to know more about the Latin American Spanish exam. So examples, good practice that we can, if you collect those, that would be helpful. Over to you, Peter.
Yeah, no, thanks. I think those do sound good, good suggestions. I think there are initiatives which are already taking place in a number of regional contexts. You know, I've worked a lot in Francophone West Africa as well. I know we have several French-speaking colleagues on this call, and that's another region where I know a lot of efforts have been taking place to try to really provide mutual support to colleagues who are, who are writing and also writing internationally, including getting articles and publications into English-speaking journals. So I think that would be good to get suggestions to feed in for practices that people have already started trying out, and we can perhaps do a little bit of searching as well for some examples of initiatives where people are almost forming sort of self-help groups. I mean, in terms of small groups or communities. Actually trying to, who've already started trying to act on this and to make progress, because it's not a new issue, that's for sure, but it does sound as though there's something quite practical to do here.
Any other contribution? I don't see any hand up.
Tuesday, I think, yeah, on the way forward, Reverend Father made a very good contribution on devising or coming up with a theme, and then, of course, encouraging members to maybe contribute articles or papers on that broader theme, so that we could look at them. We could even set up a committee or something to look at them and then see which ones are good, and then we can compile them into a book form. That is one of the ways we can look at going forward. Yeah.
Yeah, very useful contribution.
I think that's great. I mean, and I agree with you, Tanya. Obviously, there would be different levels. If ECRs feel that they need something specific for themselves, and that's possible. But as I said, also sometimes just having that cross-generational discussion, you hear seniors speak and then juniors speak as part of that meeting. So there could be different groups. They could come together to share certain ideas. I'm happy to write up what experience I have and share it as well, if that's helpful. Tuesday, over to you.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I think if I could just say something.
So,
this is Victor. Okay, my video is coming on now. This is Victor. I just want to say something. Going forward with the project, I think from my experience, the little I've had, it's always for us to come up with a theme around development issues in the global south. What things we think are very important to discuss, and use that theme for book projects. I think one way that we just completed with some of my colleagues at the University of Port Harcourt is decolonizing development in post-colonial Africa. And we just finished, the publisher is just about almost through with the book. Basically, essentially decolonizing development. So I think that with the COVID-19 pandemic, there are issues, and we could put this into a theme. First of all, have a theme, and from that theme, you have people write on different issues related to human. Publishing the book. That's how I feel we could go about it. Thank you. Over.
Yeah, sorry, I think the network was not very good, so I didn't get most of what you said, Victor. But I hope we'll be able to get it from the recording. Holly.
Yes, well, thank you, Tuesday. I just would like to add some point that I'm from Indonesia, so I see most of us are from India, but I don't know who are from East Asia or from Eastern Asia. Yeah, so I think the setting context also quite important. Yeah, even this is South. Global South, but also connected of region also will be important. So that Peter mentioned, it would be great if we have some a small survey and research to know which who located where. Yeah, so maybe actually I would like to share that maybe who are interested in the maybe ASEAN context or East Asian context, or who one interested in Africa context. So will be good if this is additional regional setting will be for the early informations. Thank you, Tuesday.
Okay, thank you very much. That's very useful. For in our survey, we shall need to identify which part of Global South we are coming from, so that we can know we can have relevant issues, regional issues dealt with. Thank you. Anybody else want to make a contribution?
I think Victor has typed his comments in the chat. He says, What I'm saying is that we should have a theme for a book first, based on a development issue or issues we would like for people to write about, and then follow through with the publication. So if I can respond, Victor, we are not at this stage selecting a single issue for the purpose of a book. That's not the stage we're at, but yes, you're absolutely right. We would need to identify key themes if we were embarking on a publication. I think it is still to explore with the members through the course of this year, through various kinds of engagements, both the writing part of writing an academic paper, and then also consulting and getting views on what are the topics. And I think maybe Holly's point fits in with that. I'm not sure whether we are talking about area studies, Holly. I don't think you are. I think you're talking about the different kinds of understandings from different geographies and locations. And of course, that could be theorized across regions or in other, using other axes. But over to Peter, Felix, and Tuesday.
Yep. Peter, you want to add anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are still opportunities, of course, for groups within this membership, or indeed with other colleagues, to think about books around specific themes. I mean, just as we always do. But perhaps what the advantage here would be thinking about conversations that could help to to do that in such a way that it actually gets through into publication. I think we probably are still at a bit of an early stage at the moment to identify specific topics, but it's good, I think, within this membership to start thinking about what are themes and what are issues that people are really interested in and could become a focus for some effort. So perhaps that's part of the conversation going forward now over the next few weeks and months, just to see if we can surface some of those ideas.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any further contribution? Okay, looks like our taps have run dry. Yeah, I believe from this, our discussion is being recorded, and we shall pick all the points which have been raised. And from there, we can then see the way forward. Shalaja, you wanted to say something?
Douglas, our technical officer, has informed us that all the points on the chat will be moved to the WOA chat box, which is being used by the DSA for the conference. So you are most welcome to continue having this conversation throughout the 2 weeks. And who knows, at the end of this, we might have even more steps going forward as you all take this discussion forward. So I encourage you to use that, and I will try and ensure that one of us gets back over the course of it to your comments over the next 2 weeks. Thank you, Tuesday.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, I see Nayara has a hand up.
Oh, okay. Nayara?
Yes, thank you. As this is my first DSA conference, I have just a very basic question. Do we have an official channel of communication, I mean, among the members of this group?
Sorry, do we have?
Any official channel of communication?
You mean other than the WOA chat box over the conference?
Yes, exactly.
Or after the conference?
After the conference.
Oh, subsequent to the conference. I don't know. Sometimes chat boxes can stay open. Certainly Slack chat boxes do. Douglas, any thoughts? You are our comms man. Sorry to put you on the spot.
Oh, no problem. You can use the message on Hoover, or you can create a topic in the Hoover community, so you can keep going there and making
even after the conference.
Even after the conference, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So we need to have a little supervision on who are each of us, and then we can take it forward. So Nayara, please lead us on this one.
Okay,
if you want to start a chat, I mean, I think whoever wants to, I think we can, the momentum builds up then after that.
Yeah, because I think communication is really important to continue our actions and our projects.
And as Peter said, we have a great new communications team who are helping us. So yes, please, let's do it.
May I add on that? I belong to another DSA group, and they have a mailing list, and they keep communicating through that. I was wondering if we could also have that. I know we have a tech expert here. Maybe that would be better left to them, but maybe that would help also.
Couple more questions. Helena says, should we have a new DSA group? Victor supporting Holly's point that we should have regional focus to have a comparative perspective across Global South. Peter, any thoughts? My simple answer is yes, but second part is how.
Now, first, you know, we are a subcommittee of the Council of Global South, but there's an actual Global South group in existence. So I think we'll need to link up with that, with the main Global South group. There won't be a need to create a new one.
Yeah,
I think the issue is communication is the issue.
Yeah, I think I do like the idea of having the possibility, you know, just following from Nayara's point, that there could be a kind of mailing list or something like that. The question with these things is always trying to manage the desire to communicate with also getting overwhelmed by lots and lots of communication. So, but I think there could, I'm sure there must be a way that we could establish something which would allow this community to remain in touch, and in such a way that everyone doesn't feel bombarded by lots of messages, which sometimes can lead to people withdrawing as opposed to being part of things. You know, we want to make it a useful space that where people can bring ideas, suggestions. For example, if this this collaboration around publication and also the mentoring activities move forward, it'd be really nice to be able to share updates on that with this group, for people to feed in experiences, just to share ideas, suggestions. So I think it's trying to do it in a way which is manageable, doesn't overwhelm everybody, but creates that space for us to use collectively, I think would be great. So this is perhaps a conversation with Douglas and our comms specialists who can help us find a way. But I do like the idea very much.
Okay.
It's wonderful to hear everybody's ideas. I mean, that's good to know that we did choose topics as a subgroup that were of interest to the members of Global South. Do we know who leads the Global South working group? Do we know? Or is that something?
Felix.
Felix, please, if you're still got a connection, would you mind? I know connections are an issue, but.
Yes, okay. I think that I used to lead that group, but I gave out that responsibility when I was appointed to council. And ever since I did that, it hasn't been as active as it used to be. So we may have to intervene there and then make sure we, revive it, yeah.
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
So we are asking members who are present here to be willing to do more than just be members of the group, maybe to provide a little more initiative. Felix, am I hearing you right?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, so probably that's a good point to end this conversation. Unless, as Oluwatoyi.
Yes, thank you very much. I would just like to say that the contributions have been really helpful. And I just wanted to state that I would be willing to be part of the group or the subgroup for creating the mentorship program when we have decided finally on how to proceed.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so you can put your hand down now. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. In which case, I think I would like, it has been a very, very good discussion, more likely than last year, which means next year it will be fire. Yeah. So I want to thank everybody for your contribution, and let's remain in touch. Nayara, we've given you a small task of ensuring that we keep talking. And
Okay.
Felix, revival of the main group.
Okay, sure.
Okay,
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. And enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Real pleasure to meet you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very
everyone.
much.
Bye. Thank you all.
Have a nice